life is hard. I mean, really hard. No matter who you are, if you wait around long enough, something is going to happen to you that is so difficult that it's just beyond explanation. And sometimes we really have difficulty coping with this reality of how hard life can really be. And I find that there's one saying that is really common among Christian circles in order to kind of deal with this idea. People will say something along the lines of, God will never give you more than you can handle. And they'll say that. They'll be like, oh, I know I'm going through a hard time, but I know that God will never give me more than I can handle. And I'll hear other people say, wow, I mean, God must really think a lot of me to be allowing this kind of stuff to happen to me. He must really think a lot of me because he must really think I can handle a lot. And that saying sounds really good. I mean, there's something about that saying that just makes you feel good. It's this idea that God is your biggest cheerleader. And God believes in you so much that he's allowing this to come your way because he believes you can do it. The problem with that saying, as interesting as it is that it's just not true. That's not what the Bible teaches. And what I hope you'll see by the end of this video is it's really not helpful. Because what the Bible teaches is that, yeah, God will allow things to happen to you that are more than you can handle, but that he won't let something happen to you that's more than he can handle. See, that's an important distinction. He will allow stuff to happen to you that's more than you can handle, but God will not allow something to happen to you that's more than he can handle. So, where am I getting this from? And the verse I want to take you to today that really encapsulates this idea is 2 Corinthians chapter 1. And we're going to be in verse 8 and 9. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 8 and 9. So in this passage, you see that Paul, the Apostle Paul, and his entourage, the people that are working with him, his co-workers in the faith, they're in the region of Asia, so modern-day Turkey. And they're in this region, and they start to deal with different difficulties and trials and troubles, and they really think that it's all over. He actually says, for I do not want you to be unaware, brethren, of our affliction which came to us in Asia. For we were burdened excessively beyond our strength, so that we despaired even of life. Indeed, we had the sentence of death in ourselves, so that we would not trust in ourselves, but in God who raises the dead. Get that? Get it what he said? He said that we were burdened excessively beyond our strength. Wait a minute, I thought God will never give you more than you can handle. It sounds like Paul is saying we were given more than we could handle. It was beyond our strength. We despaired even of life, thinking there's the sentence of death in us. What is he saying? I was burdened to the point where I thought I was going to die. It was more than I could handle, and I couldn't handle it. Maybe we need to pull Paul alongside and say, come on, Paul, God will never give you more than you can handle. No, he will. He will allow us to be tested beyond what we can handle. But look at what Paul says. Paul says, so that we could not trust in ourselves, but in God who raises the dead. You see what Paul does there? He says, yes, there was something more than we could handle, but it was not something more than God could handle. That's an important distinction. You see, this idea, the problem with this idea that God will never give you more than you can handle is it keeps you at the center of attention. It keeps you at the center of the story. The reality is that God needs to be the center. God will never give you or allow you to encounter more than He can handle. Paul is saying we were tested, tempted, tried. We faced things that we couldn't handle, but we put our hope and trust in God, and God brought us through. Not we, not us. It was more than I could handle. I thought I was going to die, but guess what? God raises the dead. That's a mindset. When you're going through difficulty, when you're going through trouble, don't fall into this trap of thinking that you, within yourself, within your strength, have enough to get through it, because that's not what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches is that you serve a God who is greater than your problem. So, where do we get this false idea from? This idea of God will never give you more than you can handle. It's clearly not what the Scripture teaches. So where do we get this from? And I think one of the areas that we get this from is a misunderstanding of 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 12 and 13. In this passage, Paul is talking about temptation. And he says that there's no temptation that's come upon you that's not common to man. And then he says, but God is faithful. The focus is on God, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able. But with the temptation will provide a way of escape so that you may be able to endure it. What is he saying? Specifically when it comes to the temptation to sin, specifically when it comes to being tempted to sin, God is faithful and He will throw you a lifeline. He will make a way for you to escape. So it's not God giving you more than this is not saying that God will never give you more than you're able to handle. What this is saying is God's never going to allow you to be tempted without also providing you with a way of escape. Again, the focus is not on you and how awesome you are and how good you are and your ability. The focus is on God's faithfulness. So we have to be really careful not to have this self-focused, self-empowerment Christianity. The reality is that the Bible doesn't teach about self-empowerment. The Bible teaches about God empowerment. So let us be a people that are empowered by God, not ourselves. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. But I need you to do one more thing for me. I need you to like, subscribe, share on social media, comment, get the word out there. It really helps the channel. We really appreciate it. Thanks.